All right, welcome back. This is going to be part 106 of my presentation on the flood and Noah's Ark. If you'll notice on the screen, guys, let's talk about how long it took them to build that ark. Now, there's two verses that I think complement each other very well, one in the Old Testament and one in the New Testament, that tell us how long it took Noah to build that ark. One of them is here in Genesis 6:3. God is telling Noah that he's going to destroy the world and man. And he says that man's days would be 120 years. Would be 120 years. Now, he's not talking about, at least by my estimation, he's not talking about how long man would live after that. He's going to shorten man's lifespan to only about 120 years. Because after the flood, they were living hundreds of years past that. But it wasn't too far down certain number of generations, their lifespan dropped drastically, especially in the days of Peleg and Joktan. The days were literally cut in half, and then they got they drastically even dropped from there, and to where now today, I mean, if it depends really on your lifestyle, and genetics plays a part, and where you live in the world, that matters also. But here in America, which we're supposed to be so rich and prosperous and all that stuff, heck, our lifespan ain't but about 75, maybe 78 years. That's it, guys. That's it. Yes, there's exceptions to everything, but each generation, as Dr. Sanford had stated in his book, Genetic Entropy, or Genetic Degeneration, that each generation, guys, is worse off than the previous generation. Now, I don't care what you do. Each generation, by the research they've seen, each generation is worse off genetically than the previous generation. It's just as simple as that. I see all these people with all their health stuff on television, stuff like that. It's like if you asked 100 people about health and researchers and stuff like that, you're going to get 100 different answers. I'm telling you guys, it's absolutely ridiculous how so many people put so much emphasis on their health. They care about their carbs, how many carbs they eat, rather than their eternal, their spiritual life, and their relationship with the Lord. They put more emphasis on the physical body than anything else. And so now the other verse to back this up here, when I'm talking about the 120 years, is in 1 Peter 3:20, where they're kind of giving the narrative of the flood. And then right there in the highlighted area, it says, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah while the ark was preparing. Now, the ark taking, let's just say, a year or two to build, to me, I wouldn't consider that the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah while the ark was preparing. But you say 120 years? Now, I'm going to say, yeah, now that's long suffering of God while the ark was preparing. And you notice the long suffering of God and the ark was, while the ark was preparing, the two just contrast there. It seems to complement each other very well. And so it's given an indication that it took a long time for that ark to prepare. And I think 120 years would definitely be a good timeline to complement this right here, the long suffering of God. And so that's just what I'm going to say. I think these verses quite that's the only thing that I could think of why he would have mentioned 120 years. I think God's telling Noah, you got 120 years to build that ark, and I'm going to destroy the world. Now, it's really interesting that the Bible calls Noah a preacher of righteousness. A preacher of righteousness. Here in 2 Peter 2:5, King James Version, and spared not the old world, we're talking about the world before the flood, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. And so called Noah a preacher of righteousness. No, so it wasn't like they were out there off grid where nobody could see them. I'm sure what he was building drew attention, and he definitely had crowds of people that probably gathered around and asked questions and stuff like that. I mean, maybe they had ABC or NBC or CNN came out there to interview him, and 60 Minutes and all that stuff. And so, Noah, it says that he was a preacher of righteousness. So I'm sure that he had an opportunity to tell them judgment is coming. Judgment is coming. But as we get today, and believe me, I've gotten my share of it, you get people that's going to make fun of you. Yeah, you're crazy. Leave us alone. Yeah, right. God is a God of love. These are things that I've heard. That's your interpretation. I've actually heard that. Goody, goody, stop judging us. To stop judging us. I heard that. You get that from your homosexual your homosexual people. It's the first thing they want to say is stop judging us. And so we're not judging anybody. The Bible's done judged them. The Lord they're already under judgment. It just hasn't been implemented yet. And so, but you're definitely going to get it. I'm sure he got it. And it's just something that comes along with it. Those that would live godly would have trials. They would be persecuted. And so if you're not being persecuted and you're a Christian, sometimes, guys, the Bible does state that we're to live peaceable among, with men, with people, as we can. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a Christian, you're going to irritate somebody. Where people say, well, we're the salt and light of the world. Have you ever put salt in a cut? What do you think that's going to, have you ever had that happen? I used to get little hangnails on my fingers, and when I would pull them off, then I'd go eat something salty and get my fingers in it, it burned my fingers. You get salt into a cut, it's going to burn. It's going to burn. When you put light in darkness, what do you think it's going to do? It's going to expose. It's going to expose. If you're a Christian, you're really trying to live godly, you will have persecution. You will not be liked. You will have those that make fun of you. And believe me, I have had my share. I have had my share of it. It don't feel good, guys. It hurts your feelings, but it's just if I'm going to be made fun of anything, I would rather be made fun of by doing something for the Lord. While doing something for the Lord, instead of doing something that's sinful. And so, but I could just see Noah coming to his sons, and while this ark was being prepared, and his son saying, "How'd it go, Dad?" And I could just see him right now, the same, got mocked, nobody cares. And remember, guys, only 8 of them. Only 8 people, guys. 8 people out of the whole planet believed him. To me, it just seems like they would have gotten more people. Somebody else out of the whole planet, only 8 people believed him. I mean, it's crazy. Now, when it came to load up the ark, of course, the animals came. God brought the animals to Noah. He didn't have to go out there and collect them. All he wanted him to do was to build that ark. And so when it came for loading up days, I'm sure they heard a little knock on the door and opened it up, and there's this long train of animals waiting. And so they got loaded them up, and after they got all loaded up and got the food all loaded up and everybody was ready to go, and then the women had their 50 pairs of shoes and all the changes of clothes and stuff, then the Lord said, right here, Genesis 7:1, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." And so now for the Lord to say, "Come thou and all thy house into the ark," where would the Lord have to be? He'd have to be in that ark, wouldn't he? The Lord would have to be in that ark. Noah and everybody that was in there, they weren't alone. The Lord was with them in that ark. He said, "Come." He didn't say, "Go." "Come thou and all thy house into the ark." And so the Lord was with them. Now, It says here in Genesis 7:16, and they that went in male and female of all flesh that God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. And the Lord shut him in. And you know what, guys? I know the reason why the Lord had to do it. If let's just think now, if you was to shut that door, now remember, as soon as that door shut, judgment came. And you got to think, you would hear people screaming and hollering out there and crying and begging. What would you do? I know what I would do, guys. I'd open up that door. I'd open up that door. But you know what? They had their opportunity. And for 120 years, while that ark was being prepared, Noah preached unto these people judgment was coming. He got made fun of. He got mocked. People ignored him. He became the blunt of jokes. I'm sure people had all types of memes on social media with him. Oh, I could just see it now. I mean, I bet you he was memed all up. People were taking selfies near the ark. Oh, I could see it. Reality TV shows would go by there and record him while he was doing it. They tried to make money off of it. I can see it right now. He was absolutely just mocked and ridiculed, and people, and I'm sure books were made about him, movies were made about him. I mean, he was the thing to go see. And picnics, people would go and have picnics and watch old crazy Noah and his family. And so, I mean, I could just see it now, guys. And when it came for the judgment to happen, the Lord had to shut that door. The Lord shut it. When the Lord shut it, that's it. It ain't coming open until the Lord says it's coming open. And so, but yeah, I could see right now people coming up and clawing and leaving their fingernails on the side of that ark while that judgment was coming. And I'm telling you guys, the Lord had to shut it and seal it, because they would have opened it up and could have destroyed them all, letting all that water in and everybody and the animals trying to get in all at once. I can only imagine, guys, what they heard on the outside while they were on the inside. And so it took the Lord to shut it. And it's just amazing, guys. I can only imagine, my mind just kind of tries to go back there. Here they were building this ark. Everybody's in it. All the food's in it. And all of a sudden, that door just goes, and it all by itself. All by itself. I can just see it right now. And so, but, they were given an opportunity. They mocked. They ridiculed. They made fun of him. I'm sure of it. And then when it came, it was too late. It's just like Jesus said. They went about their regular everyday business, and they just everyday life. They didn't want anything to do with it. They didn't have any care or any want. It's just a myth. Oh, he's crazy. I can just see it now. And the thing is too, that when he was trying to witness, what he was saying was going to happen, people had probably never heard of it before. Now I've had this brought up before, and I'm not sure. I'll bring it up to you guys, and you guys can kind of chew on it. But it says here in Genesis 2:5-6, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground, but there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Now I have heard that this right here could give an indication that it had never rained upon the earth, like we know rain, actually falling from the sky from clouds. But how the Lord would water the planet is he would send a mist from the earth, like a geyser maybe or something like that, and would miss the ground. I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, did it rain? Did it rain before the flood? I don't know. I really don't. This is the only thing that I have ever seen or had put forth that could give an indication that it may not have ever rained. So when Noah was saying, hey, listen, God's going to destroy this world, and I was told to build this boat, he's going to flood the world, he's going to flood it. It was probably so foreign to them to hear such a thing that caused them not to believe also. And so, again, Noah took it by faith. He took God's word by faith and did what he was supposed to do. And, and to me personally, I think that's the reason why the Lord saw him as righteous. But we'll go ahead and we'll stop right there. And when we come back, guys, it's time to flood the planet. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about where the water came from and get into some really neat insights on that. And but you guys take care. I hope the Lord blesses you real good. And y'all chew on this, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.